Now we're going to talk about Rachel Marin. That's what we're going to say. So Rachel Marin, we covered Rachel's case, didn't we, from right from the beginning. 2 years ago, Rachel was walking along, or we don't know if she was walking or jogging around the Martin Parr Trail in Maryland in the USA, when she was just taken and brutally killed by this guy. I'm not going to say his name, but his name is on there. He has gone into the hellhole. I did do a video of him going into the hellhole because he was finally, is this the one? Yeah. He was finally caught after going on the run. He's went all over America. He'd already killed someone in his native Ecuador. He tried 4 times to get over the frontier, what's the word? Gosh, why can't I think of the word? Over the border into the USA, and I think it was on the 4th attempt he did manage to do it illegally, got over there illegally, and off he went to Los Angeles first of all, attacked a woman and a young girl there. That's where he left his DNA, or one of the places that he left his DNA. Next time he turned up, of course, we don't know what he did along the way, but the next time he turned up was right over the other side of America when he attacked Rachel Marin in Maryland. And he left his DNA there as well. So they were able to see that this attack in Los Angeles, it was the same DNA as the attack on Rachel. And, you know, they were able to link up those 2 crimes, even though they were so far away from each other. And finally, due to genetic genealogy through Othram. And, you know, I don't know if you know about Othram. That's the agency, isn't it? Let me get up their post because they made a post about it. Yeah, Othram. They're the agency, Othram Tech, that I'm following. I'm following them on Twitter. It's very, very, very interesting. They are. And they've helped to solve a lot of cases. Not only, you know, like old cold cases, you know, where bodies have not been identified even. You know, so Othram is slowly ploughing through these, if you like. With, you know, the police are using them. So Othram Tech, join our mission to revolutionise how forensic cases are solved, justice is served, and families are mended. And it meant, here we go, this is their post about Rachel's case. Just now, the man who raped and murdered Rachel Marin was sentenced to life without parole. And like the Idaho student murders, this was a real-time active case. And we need this technology deployed for all active violent crimes and threats to public safety. And they've made this post honoured that Othram could assist Harford County Sheriff's Office and FBI to help identify the suspected rapist and murderer of Rachel Marin. We should be deploying this tech for active cases. Serial predators continue to harm others till caught. There's no doubt that this man, Victor, he would have carried on killing, hurting, raping. You know, he's only 23 years old and he's already murdered 2 women and brutally attacked 2 others, as far as we know. You know, he may have done a lot more. So Othram is a fantastic, you know, as I say, I follow them, and quite often they'll come up with, they say, oh, like this: honoured that Othram could assist the Yavapai County Office of the Medical Examiner in identifying a 2015 John Doe as Michael Wayne Mest. So imagine, you know, your loved one's gone missing years ago, This is 10 years ago, but they've solved cases from much further back. Here's a 2008 one that say they don't solve the case. What they solve is who the person is. So these are people who would have been John Doe's or Jane Doe's, and they have managed to bring at least some resolution to their loved ones. It is heartbreaking to find out that they are deceased, of course. But at least then you find out what's happened to them, that's so important. And then the police start the investigation then, don't they? Whether they've died in suspicious circumstances, it's for the police to take it any further than that, of course. But what the Othram do is they help with this genetic genealogy to, and that's how Rachel Marin's killer finally was brought to book, because his DNA, it was linked to his relatives, and it all sort of came together in that way. And although there was other evidence, circumstantial evidence, I mean, it's funny, I was thinking about it, with a murder, a lot of it is circumstantial evidence, isn't it? There's a lot of talk about the Delphi murders. I want to do a video on that soon, because Richard Allen's wife has come out on a documentary and spoke, and of course she's still in denial. She thinks he's innocent, and a lot of people say, oh well, it's circumstantial evidence, but most murders are solved with circumstantial evidence, because nobody's there to actually watch the murder taking place, are they? So it'd be rare. So what the police departments have to do, the investigative teams, they have to put together it won't be just one thing, maybe with DNA, but of course there was no DNA in the Delphi murders, which is what personally, I think there was no DNA because he was DNA aware, and he put those girls in the river and washed off all the DNA. That's what I think. But there was other circumstantial evidence, and of course the fact he confessed it many times. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that in this video, but we will talk about it. Circumstantial evidence is just as valid as any evidence, if there's enough of it. I mean, that one thing is not enough. We saw that even with the Erin Patterson mushroom murders. It wasn't just one thing that convicted Erin, was it? It was all the things all put together. But nobody was actually there in her kitchen watching her put the death cap mushrooms in the beef Wellington. So circumstantial evidence sometimes, of course, that's all you've got. And her DNA obviously was all over everything because it was her dehydrator, and it was her kitchen, and though we never found the plates, of course, we don't know what happened to the plates. So circumstantial evidence should not be dismissed as not being important. It's very important. Sometimes that's all that's all you've got. You're not going to have a video of somebody actually killing somebody, or rarely you're going to actually have that, are you? So anyway, so he was caught, he's been sentenced, and that's what we're just going to look at. We're going to look at a couple of things on Facebook. Now, first thing is I want to show you. This is Rachel's daughter. Now, I think I'm fine showing this because it's been shown publicly by Rachel's ex-partner, the father of Faye. This is Faye, her oldest daughter, who is now 20. And she is now a mother as well. So Rachel is a grandma, but she never got to see in this life. She never got to see her grandchild. But anyway, so Faye is 20 now. And let's have a look at the post that's been put on. Faye is seeking an attorney willing to represent her pro bono in a wrongful death suit against Victor Hernandez. Her goal is to win a monetary judgment so she can place a lien on Victor Hernandez's prison account, preventing him from ever having even a single penny for the rest of his life. This would stop Victor from purchasing even basic comfort items from the commissary, making it so he cannot so much as buy a Raymond seasoning packet. If you are an attorney willing to help, please contact me to discuss. This is Matt McMahon, Rachel's partner, from quite a while ago, but they were on good terms, and Faye is Rachel's oldest daughter, who's 20 years old now. Feel free to share this and help Faye make Victor's life a little more uncomfortable. And good, yeah, because sometimes you do think, like in the commissary, at the end of the day, in the commissary, if you've got money, like someone like Erin Patton or anyone whose family send them money, or if they haven't got any money, maybe their family send them money, they can make their lives more comfortable, can't they? They can buy things, and you don't want their life to be comfortable. Why should their life be comfortable? Rachel hasn't even got a life, never mind a comfortable life now. So, good for Faye, and I hope she manages to do that. I really do hope she manages to do that. Anyway, just wanted to tell you about that. Now, there's something else I wanted to show you. Let me just... I want to show you the official statement that has been released from the Hartford Sheriff's Department. Remember Sheriff Jeff, my sheriff. Let's have a look at his. So this has been shared by Decipher Podcast, very good podcast. And let's have a look what he had to say. So this is Sheriff Gaylor. He's the one that was in charge of the investigation as far as Maryland was concerned. And he was very specific that what he wanted. Because, Victor is still wanted in El Salvador, of course, and in Los Angeles. But I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he'd be staying there. What the sheriff wanted was him to be incarcerated there in Maryland, so he knew exactly where he was at all times. There's a problem is if he goes to El Salvador, they sort of lose control of him a bit. I mean, I don't think he would be released in El Salvador, but you just don't know, do you? So I think what Sheriff Jeff wanted was him to know exactly where he was, and that he wasn't going anywhere, So let's see what he had to say in his statement. Last week marked 2 years since Rachel Marin's life was stolen, a brutal loss that continues to inflict immeasurable pain on her children, mother, siblings, and everyone who loved her. The grief they carry is unfathomable, and the void left in their lives can never be filled. Today's sentencing of Rachel's murderer to a life sentence without the possibility of parole, a second life sentence, and an additional 40 years means he should never walk freely again. This sentence delivers justice, but it is not closure. There remains a difficult road to healing. I hate that word closure, to be honest. I prefer a resolution, or one part of peace. There's no closure when you lose someone. It never ends, does it? Really? I mean, it's closure, I suppose, in the sense that they don't have to think about him anymore. There's no more court hearings and things like that. But not on grief. On grief, there is no closure. We stand with the Marin family committing to honouring Rachel's memory. The sentencing in Rachel Marin's tragic murder highlights the strength of our justice system. I'm deeply grateful to our deputies, partner agencies, and the Hartford County State's Attorney's Office for their tireless work and commitment to justice. Their efforts bring a sense of peace to Rachel's family and restore confidence in our community's safety. Communities are never completely safe. At the end of the day, people, I think you'd be safe going on the Mar and Par trail now, because there's been all these, what they've put up now on that trail are all these CCTV cameras, AI CCTV cameras. So I would imagine you're safe, but you're never 100% safe from twonks, are you? But all really you can do is you can be as aware as possible, and the law enforcement agencies, etc., they have to try their best to make places safe for us. And it's interesting because it's still not 100% certain yet whether Rachel was targeted especially, or whether that horrible man was just waiting for any woman to walk past, like a crime of opportunity. There is some talk that he had photos of Rachel on his phone. He certainly had photos of Rachel on his phone after she died. But there is some talk that's never been confirmed, as far as I know, that there were photos on his phone from before she died. Did he target Rachel? Did he follow her? Did he know her routine? Because he lived, right there in the vicinity. Not that it makes any difference. Unfortunately, Rachel is still dead, whichever way it is. But to me, I find it particular. Did he stalk her, or was this a crime of opportunity? But anyway, what really matters is he's never going to be able to do it to any other woman. So this moment is not just about accountability, it is about honouring Rachel's memory, reaffirming our promise to every resident of Harford County. We remain steadfast in our mission to protect, to serve, and to stand against those who seek to do harm. Now, of course, this is one of those cases like the Lake and Riley case that brought into, that was used effectively by Donald Trump in his campaign, his presidential campaign, because of all the talk about illegal immigrants. And you can understand people would be angry because Victor had already killed in his own country, but he did sneak across the border. But and he did try 3 other times, but he was either removed or not allowed in. And then the 4th time he managed. So a lot of people are blaming it on open border policies and that. I don't know enough about it, to say that, but I know the sheriff does think that. So this case highlights national public safety failures. The killer crossed the border illegally after reportedly committing a violent crime in El Salvador, then murdered an innocent American mother. Rachel's death is a tragic result of weak border policies under the past presidential administration. So Sheriff Jeff is obviously a Trump supporter. We must do better. Stronger border security and smarter policies are essential to protect our communities. We owe it to Rachel, her family, and every American to prevent such tragedies. Well, that's a political statement, and some people will agree with it, some people won't, and that's Sheriff Jeff, what he thinks. So he has to be respected in that. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about the sentencing. It was a good sentence. Obviously, no sentence will bring Rachel back. That is the tragedy of it all. But if it brings the family some peace, at least some kind of peace, some kind of resolution, to know that that horrible man won't be out there again doing it to anybody else. It's something, I suppose. And yeah, just, they don't have the death penalty in Maryland, but and I don't believe in the death penalty. I hope this guy suffers. I hope he suffers every day while he's in prison. Oh, and it's important to say actually that one of Rachel's brothers did forgive him when he gave his victim impact statement. He forgave him. Some that we had this with the Idaho 4 as well. One of the members of family forgave Brian Koberger. That's I really want to look at that. We've looked at forgiveness occasionally in videos, and that it's a very emotive subject, isn't it? Could you forgive somebody who killed your loved one? Could you, or do people do it for their own peace of mind? Sometimes I remember watching the sentencing of the Green River killer, the victim's impact statement that made him cry and actually forced some emotion out of him, because he was like the Koberger type, and Victor showed no emotion whatsoever. He refused to give a statement. He thanked the judge for offering him the chance to give a statement, but he didn't want to say anything. So he didn't apologise. He didn't take responsibility for his actions. But in the Green River killer trial, sentencing, one of the families of the victim stood up and forgave him. And the Green River killer had shown no emotion, right? And he killed a lot of people. I mean, he's one of the most prolific serial killers ever. He'd not shown any emotion until that point. And when this guy started forgiving him, he started crying. And I thought, gosh, why? Why has that made it? All those people saying, like, all the other victims, their impact statement, how terrible it is, how it's affected their lives, what horrible person he is, blah, 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 saying what they thought from the heart. And then one person stands up and forgives him and is reduced to a blubbering wreck. It's odd, isn't it, how they have these, why would forgiveness make him cry when all the other things that people were saying to him, which were true, the horrible things that he'd done and the horrible person he was, didn't make him cry? And he only started crying when someone forgave him. It's quite odd, isn't it? How now, when Brian Koberg was forgiven at his sentencing hearing by one of the family members, he didn't start crying. I mean, he's the weirdest man, isn't he? He's like, he looked at those victims' families right in the face as they were talking, and he looked at them like they were specimens. He's like in a jar. That's what it reminded me of. And he got angry occasionally. You could see that he was clenching his jaw. We haven't even had a chance to look at that yet, but we will look at it one day. He got really angry, didn't he, when one of the victims, I think it was her sister, really had a good go at him and, exposed him for the small man that he is. But yeah, he just sort of looked at those victims' family like they were specimens in a jar. He is a true creepy guy. Victor is a creepy guy in a different way. Don't know about Victor's like this. He's like an animal type to me, and he's quite cunning that's an insult to animals. He's quite cunning in his way. I don't think he's clever, but he's cunning, and he showed a cunningness to escape for as long as he did. Whereas I think Brian Koberger, he's like, what is it? He's like, he thinks he's superior. He's one of those who thinks he's superior, but actually he's not. I don't think Victor the Viper, Rachel's killer, I don't think he thought he was superior. He's just like your basic, sort of just working on basic instinct all the time. Don't think he thought he was cleverer than anybody else. And he probably got away with it longer because of that. He literally was just, whereas I think Brian Koberger, of course, he got caught quite quickly, didn't he? Because he thought he was too superior. Sometimes you can think you're too superior and you think, oh, you're cleverer than the police. I don't think Victor thought he was cleverer than the police. I don't think he even thought that way. He just acted on base animal instinct. And, maybe that's why he got away with it, because you can't think like those people. And, of course, they're travelling all over the place. It's funny, isn't it? Because how did he manage to do all that traveling? I don't know. And illegal. So it feels like that once you get into America, then, is it? Once you're in there, you can go anywhere. Don't the states have their own borders? Maybe they should be looking at that as well. Because why should you be able to, surely to go into a state, you should have to show some identification or something, but I don't know. Anyway, I don't know the answer, but yeah. So I just wanted to, hi UT, I just wanted to talk about that, about about Victor's sentencing. He got the strongest sentence that he could have done. So that's good. That's good. Doesn't bring Rachel back, unfortunately, but at least it means that nobody else will ever be, no other woman anyway. I mean, he might end up hurting someone in prison. Who knows what will happen to him in prison? Or he might end up getting hurt. But he'll be put in with other people like him. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know that he will get hurt in prison, really, to be honest. Okay, so that was talk about Rachel. So now we're going